I'm the youngest of 3 girls. Growing up, we were always close. We shared clothing, secrets, memories, and as you can see, bad haircuts. A weird thing happens, though, when you're the youngest sibling. There's always this awkward period where the older ones transition into their teenage years, and you're sort of just left behind to figure yourself out. So while my sister Nora, with the halfway mullet there, was writing angry quotes on her bedroom wall and listening to Guns N' Roses, and my sister Neri was completely buried in the Sweet Valley Saga, never looking up, I was spending a lot of time alone finding myself. See, the thing is, they didn't really want to hang out with me, and I don't blame them that much. I was really annoying. I was a huge tattletale. My mom used to call me the watchdog, and I looked like this. All that solo time, though, led to some interesting discoveries. I learned that I enjoyed playing Office by myself, that I wanted to be in the WNBA despite my basketball playing abilities, and that I loved making old things new again. One summer, I thought it would be cool to take the pull tabs off of pop cans, paint them, put some glitter on them, and sell them on the playground as necklaces. The price was 15 cents if I knew you, 50 cents if I didn't know you, and it was a smashing success. I completely sold out. To some, this could mean I had an entrepreneurial spirit at a young age. To most, I was just a really bad playground hustler. But for me, it was the beginning of something much bigger, a life of sustainable style. My earliest memory of budgeting was at 13. I had some interesting hobbies. As you can see, it was the 90s. But I wondered, how could I fulfill all of these interests with just 13 Jordanian dinars a month? That was my allowance. So if I could get my Chuck Taylors from the American-inspired thrift store with just enough money for my basketball magazines, I was set. When I moved to the US, though, I was really introduced to the world of thrifting. Places like the Village and Goodwill were my go-to destination to spend my minimum wage paycheck from the local dry cleaners. When a good friend of mine, a coworker who's now a good friend of mine, asked how I could afford such a nice wardrobe when we worked at the same place, I noticed that was the moment I realized that nobody thrifted as much, not everyone thrifted as much as I did. Not just that, for so many years, nobody talked about thrifting. There was always a taboo or stigma attached to it. This never made any sense to me. Who doesn't love a good deal? So in the mid-2000s, when blogs started exploding on the internet scene, I decided to start a blog. I called it Dina's Days to share my love for all things, but more importantly, to start a critical conversation about the importance and value of sustainable style. Using Dina's Days as an outlet over the last 7 years, I've been able to share with readers from all over the world, from Akron to Australia, the dozens of reasons how and why sustainable style has changed my life. You're free to be as creative as you want when you hit the racks at Goodwill. You can replicate your favorite celebrity style or do something that's all your own. I'm especially passionate about encouraging young people to find their own style at thrift stores. Local outlets like the Akron Beacon Journal, Fox 8, and WKYC have shown great interest in sustainable style and have enlisted me to share my tips and passion with their audiences and readers over the years. From shopping with a reporter for a day to sharing current trends on live morning television, I've been able to share how thrifted and sustainable style is a way of life for me and not just a hobby. Thrifting also helps the world on a global scale. We live in a throwaway society. The US generates, on average, 25 billion pounds of textiles each year. Of that, only 15% gets recycled, so that means 21 billion pounds of textiles are getting sent to landfills. The average US citizen, just like you and me, throws away 70 pounds of textiles per year. This affects our lives in so many ways. Decomposing clothing releases methane, a harmful greenhouse gas and a significant contributor to global warming. Dyes and chemicals from the clothing and shoes we throw away can reach into the soil, contaminating both the surface and the groundwater. Plus, it's taking up a lot of space in already crowded landfills. The majority of what we're throwing away can all be recycled, and is as recent as last year's trends. I can almost guarantee that if you walk into any thrift store in town, you'll find at least a dozen fast fashion brands on the rack. These items aren't built to last. Being mindful of what you buy secondhand can help slow down fast fashion and bad manufacturing practices overseas. Oops. By adopting a life of sustainable style, you can help breathe new life into clothing and keep them out of landfills, but it also allows you to support good causes and help affect change right here in our hometown. We all know that donations help nonprofit thrift stores, but shopping also contributes tremendously towards their missions and programs. The cycle of donated clothing has always fascinated me. When you donate clothing to a local nonprofit like the Goodwill or Salvation Army, you not only make me jump for joy, but the textiles are sorted, curated, and sold to earn profit for their programs. Charities, however, are left with billions of pounds of textiles each year. The stuff that doesn't sell is sold to textile recyclers who turn the textile into things like secondhand clothing, rags, and fiber for things like carpet and rugs. Only about 5% ends up as waste. You can donate gently damaged clothing by simply marking it as salvage, and Goodwill will know exactly what to do with it. So a sweatshirt with a bleach stain on it could end up as a rug. The summer when I pulled all the pull tabs out of the trash, I would have never imagined a sustainable lifestyle would introduce me to so many wonderful people. In 2013, I co-founded an event called Thrift Night Out, where I invite groups to join me at a thrift store over food and a fun workshop to learn about thrift shopping. I've met hundreds of people through Thrift Night Out alone. One of my favorite projects, though, has to be the Goodwill fashion shows. For the last 5 years, I've been invited to curate a completely thrifted runway collection with Goodwill Cleveland. This one, featured here, is one of my favorite collections. I styled 10 looks for well under $125 by using nature and Stevie Wonder's Secret Life of Plants as inspiration for a garden collection. Akron's collaborative spirit has been nothing short of amazing. My opportunity to host and curate a rack at Goodwill's upscale Blue Boutique in downtown Akron has helped me share my found treasures with others, but also grow so much as a person. It has also given me a taste of what it would feel like to own my own business, and it's hard. It's so important for us not to view our clothing as disposable, but as a life cycle. I always wonder what the story is behind some of the clothes I thrift. Did my straw hat belong to a grandmother planting tulips in her yard? Did my vintage dress belong to Blanche Devereaux on the Golden Girls? A girl can only dream. Thank you.